Thank you so much, Annemarie, for being here with me, and congratulations on Palestine 36. The reception yesterday was incredible. I was telling you before, standing ovations are not a huge thing at TIFF, and it was over 10 minutes. I looked at the time to make sure. Incredible film, so well done. How does it feel to be here, and how does it feel to have this film be premiered here at TIFF?
Thank you. It's good to be with you. And yeah, yesterday was incredible. I'm so moved by what happened yesterday. It was already such an honor to be selected for the gala, for opening weekend, and our whole team is here. But I didn't expect that the audience reaction yesterday really blew me away, and especially after how the long road that we've just come down. It was incredible. It was incredible. It started, we were in the audience, and then we came backstage, and it was still going, and standing there. It was amazing. And Cameron saying to me, and this never happened before. It was, it was. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, it was incredible being in the audience. I'm sure it was really emotional for you as well, like being in the audience and then on stage.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. So the film itself combines both archival footage and obviously what you filmed. How did you go about choosing like the characters and the stories that you wanted to tell throughout this, and then weaving those characters together, as they interact in that story? Yeah,
it's interesting. I was doing the research side of things. I'm a history geek, and I'm very, that's years of, books and reading, everything I can get my hands on. And then there's the visual side of things. Everything in the film is based on real, historical moments, and then it's fictionalized. It always came to me as a group of people. It was always a group of people, sort of several units of people, because it was important to tell the story of the village and the city. It was important to tell, to address not just, the British policies and, occupation of Palestine, but also within our own society, class, village versus the city, all of that. And it became very clear to me that there was something to manifest through different characters, and being somehow trying to be very simple about it all. An epic story, but I'm very interested in the personal and in intimate, small moments of somebody's life in a bigger context. So it was, for me, one thing is about all the characters is that they're all confronted with a moment where you're in your life and something happens and you have to decide. And it's not something you ask for, and you think that'll happen. We don't choose to fight. We fight because we have to. Mm-hmm. You resist because you have to, because you disappear if you don't. And so I was interested in these moments in everybody's life where they have to take a decision.
Mm-hmm. And that was one of the parts that I enjoyed the most, was those moments, and then also the different ways of resistance. You mentioned the difference between class, and we do see like different ways of resisting throughout the film between the different characters, and there is a little bit of a difference as well when it comes to class. Like Khulud's character, her way of resistance was through the paper, through her voice, and even then being a woman, she can't put her name to it, she uses a man's name, whereas with the farmers, they're like physically in the fight resisting.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about that as well, like those different forms of resistance?
Yeah, absolutely, because the revolt of 36 was sort of happening on two fronts, and that's also why the idea of the story came about, the way it did with village and the city. The core of the revolt was from farmers, the fellahin. They were the ones who were getting the brunt of the brutality, and they're the ones who were resisting. And then in the city, there was another kind of resistance, which was happening in sort of an upper scale level, writing, but also the Palestinians, upper class Palestinians, were part of British society. They were integrated. They were in front of British diplomats, not just, the military machine. They were making statements for, a fight for independence on that sort of diplomatic level. But the core of it was really on the ground with the fellahin, and they were not. The British knew how to play the game that the upper class was playing, but they didn't know how to deal with the farmers. They didn't know how to deal with them, and that they were doing things in a different way, and that the revolt actually almost succeeded because they could not control the countryside. They couldn't get, it didn't make sense to them. They didn't know how to control. There were rebels all over the place. They were, they didn't know how to control that. So what ends up happening then is that the revolt starts to succeed. So they brought in more tanks, more troops, more stringent, more stringent measures, and end up, of course, completely crushing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that sets the stage, of course, for 12 years later, the loss of Palestine. The leadership was already exiled. Every single village in Palestine, they had what the British called the village files.
Mm-hmm.
They had files on villagers, who was active, who was intelligent, who was anti-authoritarian. They had notes about people, and they exiled a lot of those people. The control starts way before 48.
Mm-hmm. And we do see kind of towards the end of the film, not to spoil it.
Yeah, no spoilers.
But towards the end of the film, I love how you wrapped it up, but then also left it open-ended, because the resistance is not done. It's not done today even. It was not done back then. But we get to see that the archival footage, the way that you blended those two was just beautiful and so emotional. Getting to see like the resistance in the street as it actually was back then, and then also seeing for other forms of resistance like the dabka being, being performed in the streets as well was so beautiful. Could you talk about how you chose to end the film and still leave it open-ended?
Okay, without spoilers, but
it's okay, go into spoilers as well.
No, but the film is hard to watch. It's very devastating, but I don't want to end it like that. I don't want to end in devastation and bleakness, mm-hmm. despite all the bleakness the black situation we're in right now, because there's always a light. There's always a crack with the light, and we look for that. We look for that crack everywhere. And so, yesterday I said about, we're are smiling, like that is our resistance. We have been doing it for generations. My grandparents did that. My parents did that. I'm doing that. My daughter's going to do that. It's how we survive. It's really a survival mechanism. And so, I have hope. I do have hope and belief in the new generation. They will be better than us. They will be stronger than us, and we will get to freedom. We will.
Yes, we will, for sure. And speaking of the smile, it was a beautiful way to end, in a way, Saleh's character, his story, with the smiling in the face of the army capturing him, right? Yeah. And he's captured. It's essentially hopeless. And even with the way, another transition that I loved was when we see the priest's son, I'm forgetting his name. Kareem. So Kareem's, when we see him, his final act of resistance there, and then you switch to Yusuf's brother coming out of the prison. That was such a brilliant transition. Hard to watch as well, because what's gonna happen to him, but just like brilliant. Like there's several moments in there where like the transitions where you're like hinting at like what's going on, what's gonna be happening with these characters without actually showing it. That was just. So
it was really that when he comes out of the prison, he's walking. I heard somebody behind me was like. And then he said, "Oh, are you Yusuf's brother?" And someone went, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh my God, I love to watch with the audience, because it's like, dude, are these moments gonna work? You don't know till the audience is there and you see it and you feel it with them."
No, it definitely worked. I was like, it seared into my brain, because initially I was like, wait, is this him in the future? But I was like, I don't think she's doing time jumps like that.
Exactly.
And then you hear it is Yusuf's brother. And then afterwards, Khulud leaving her husband, and just the way that.
God, you're so full of spoilers.
Oh, it's okay. You know what? We'll put like the spoiler warning. We get into spoilers in these discussions as well. Speaking of the characters as well, you did mention yesterday that Khulud's character in particular was based off, or I guess Yasmin mentioned that it was based off of a real character.
Yeah.
Were all of the characters inspired?
There's a few characters that are based on real characters. So Khulud is based on two characters, actually. She mentioned the socialite. There was a woman in Jerusalem who was really a socialite. and very, very close to the British. I mean, the British, also that was also a difference between the British Army and the British, diplomats. There's a difference. Like somebody like Thomas really believes in what he's doing, and there are people that believe that the mandate, they believe they were doing better. And for me, and Thomas changes and he sees like that it's a failed project, like many projects like that. Thomas is also based, Khulud, just to go back to her, is also, there's a secondary character who is a woman, who is a journalist in Haifa. So she's like a mix of two characters. Thomas is based on a real character who wrote a memoir about his time in Palestine. He was a secretary, for the High Commissioner. He came there with good intentions, as they say, and he slowly saw what was happening, and he ended up leaving. He actually became a Marxist. He became like completely in a different direction. Emir, also, there was, the whole thing with Emir and the Zionist Commission and becoming a mayor, inspired by something also real. So there's a lot of inspiration from actual characters, and of course Walk Up, High Commissioner, and Wingate. Wingate is like the godfather of the Israeli army. I mean, Wingate was not Jewish. He was really like an evangelical Christian. He believed he was on some kind of holy mission. He believed that. He also was sort of, he kind of looks a little bit, his long hair, like a little bit, he doesn't look straight up military. The actual Wingate was really, he went off and he was doing his own thing. He ended up, I think they ended up disassociating himself, the British, dissociating themselves from him because he really kind of went crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like he was also, like he was taking things kind of extreme in the film itself and beautifully portrayed as well, but just like a character that you're like, you hate, but then, is also portrayed so beautifully,
and the real Wingate was even crazier than that. I mean, he was like naked with his troops all the time. He wore garlic around his neck. He wore a stopwatch. He was a very eccentric person.
Wow.
And if you put that, too eccentric for the film, actually, because people get like, it would be completely distracting.
No, for sure. But it was really interesting to see, like you were mentioning, just his beliefs kind of manifesting and almost like very much influencing his worldview. And even when faced with certain truths, he's just like completely rejecting them. Like the one line that I will never, well, a couple lines from him that I'll never forget, but one of them where he says like, what do they even know of Christ? Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, clearly, there's priests and there's Christians here, amongst Palestinians, and yet he's completely disregarding them in order to continue down his agenda and, the Zionist belief. And I love that you did include a character that was a Zionist who wasn't Jewish. Because that, Zionism is,
it's a political movement.
For sure. Is there anything that we haven't covered? I'm trying to think of.
I don't know. Talk about the archives a little bit.
Can you talk about the archives as well, and what did the archives influence the story, or the other way around? Once you had the story,
that's a really interesting question. Because the archives were part of the script, the original script. The script changed a lot afterwards because of everything that happened and shutting down and starting production, and there was also a lightness to the story that I took out because I'm no longer in that mood, and I responded to it. I always had archives in the film. I don't know at what point, because they were part of the research, I was looking at things, I was obsessively looking at things. How did we dress? How did we look? What did, that they were really critical as we later, when production became so impossible. Archive became more important because we don't have the kind of budget to make a film where we can rebuild Jerusalem and rebuild all that world in a huge scope. So we have, I have the frame is limited. The archive adds to, sort of makes the frame bigger. It makes the scope bigger. This was the world that's gone. And I wanted to play with that and sort of give the texture of life in Jerusalem, life in the village, like what do things look like, And then I colorized, we digitized and colorized the archives. So because for me, part of that film being alive and feeling current and alive, when I remember when I saw archives, colorized archives for the first time, and I was completely struck by like the color of people's skin, the way their teeth were, even like having like some yellow on the teeth or something, like people suddenly, like it's like real, it became really alive, and I that's something I was very focused on, to have that, if we were to use archives, I didn't want it to be something like a back to archive time, I want to be integrated in the film.
Amazing. And I love that you changed the aspect ratio to indicate the change between the archives and the actual footage, but the way that they looked just was so seamless. It was beautiful. We just got the warning for
really
out of time. But thank you so much, Annemarie, for this film, for this story, for putting it out there, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
All right, so I'm here with Saleh Bakri from Palestine 36. Congratulations on the film premiering here at TIFF. It was incredible. I'm sure you saw, like, the standing ovation was just, it was over 10 minutes long. This does not happen at TIFF. It was something very, very special. So I wanted to start by asking, how did you feel being part of this film and having it premiere here?
Shukran.
Nafu.
Thank you. I feel till I had the courage to participate in festivals since the beginning of the genocide. It took me 2 years to have not the courage, but the motivation to participate in festivals. This is the second festival I participate in. Since the beginning of the genocide, I participated in another festival about 2 months ago. And I feel nothing would really mean anything except stopping the genocide now. And
inshallah soon.
Yes, it's just the achievements, the artistic achievements feels like nothing during this period of time. And I have this ambivalent feelings every time I participated. This is the second time I participate. I had this ambivalent feeling. What's the meaning of a festival? What's the meaning of celebrating anything while children are being killed? Every day there is a classroom of children being killed. And children that still alive are not allowed to education, are not allowed to anything. So what is the meaning of a red carpet at this time? You know, for me as a human, before being a Palestinian, you know, what does it mean? I was praying twice already since that. Also, I was like asking Allah to inspire me to throw up on the red carpet because I don't want to act. You know, I want to be me. And I was, you know, asking Allah to inspire me to throw up on the red carpet as an act of objection, as an act of... but I didn't. And in a way we have to continue. We have to continue with all the difficulty, with all the tragedy that is happening. We have to continue to tell our story, because our story is part of it. And people has to know our story, because our story was cancelled and hidden, and we were not allowed to tell it for a long, long time. And in a way that facilitated our hidden narrative, facilitated the occupation till its peak now with the genocide. So the importance of our narrative, the importance of our story is not less than any other act of resistance. It is an act of resistance. And, you know, end of day, I know that the art will not change the world right now. It changes the world after many years, after many, it takes time for art to be able to establish a global awareness, you know. So it's not for an urgent actions. Urgent actions need other stuff.
Yes.
But art is an accumulative
Yes.
Act.
Yes.
And knowing that would make it easier. Would make it easier for me to deal with such exposure, you know, celebration of cinema and things like that. So in a way, I was happy to share the film to the people. And I was touched because my sister, for the first time, acts in the film.
Yeah.
My sister, Saleh Bakri, is acted in the film, so she has a big role. So I was proud and happy to see her. I missed her here because she couldn't come, unfortunately. But yeah, I was happy for her to, you know,
to be part of it with you. Incredible. I love that you mentioned art being a form of resistance. And in this film, we see very many different acts of resistance, including your character. Could you talk about your character, how you connected with him, the story that we see him, or like the journey we see him go through in this film? Yeah.
Yeah, there is a turning point in the character starts with, he's a worker in the harbor, in the port of Jaffa. Simple, ordinary worker. He's like in the port, and suddenly he is exposed to the injustices that he is facing as a worker from the English occupation, indulging the Jewish workers and also indulging them with weapons. So when he is aware of that, he decides to fight. And of course, there's also this injustice is when you face injustice and he's a hard worker. He's a hard worker. Physically, it's hard work. And when you face injustice, then you feel that, you know, they used you. You've been used. You've been all this hard work gone for. You know, it was not valued by the occupation. Of course, it's an occupation. The occupation is not there to value human life. So he resists. He decides to resist, but he's forced to that. He didn't want to fight.
Yeah.
He wanted to, support his family, to live peacefully.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to fight. But when he faces this injustice, then he decides to fight this injustice. In a way, he didn't really decide. It's the reality that brought him to that decision. It's the injustice that brought him to that decision. So, and it is about the Palestinian resistance. If we are talking about resistance, the Palestinian resistance, he represents the Palestinian resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And the Palestinian resistance is there because of the occupation, because of the injustices. And it's, for me, this film is a call for the globe, for the people, for the humanity, to be just. Because without justice, there will always be a hysterical world. It's not easy to live in this world. It wouldn't be easy to live in this world because it wouldn't be a place that is, that is free for all and that is for all humanity. No, it is a place for these people would live nice, these people would live in poor. Why? Why? It's a one planet. We are all living on that planet, and all these people on this planet should respect each other and should have an awe to the nature and to the planet and respect it, because we don't have other planets.
Yes.
So this is what we should care about, all of us, about the planet, not about fighting each other, not about occupying each other, not about greed and trying to take others' rights in order for you to live your life without any thought about others. It's impossible. Then it has to create problems that it never ends.
Yes. Yep.
And this is Palestine. Palestine was occupied since 1948 until now. Nothing is changing, and Palestinians still resisting, and the humanity is still deaf. They don't want to hear, they don't want to know, they don't want to. So, until when? I mean, until when?
Yeah. And one of the things that it's very difficult to see the events that we're seeing in this film from 1936 repeat over and over again in the footage that we're seeing today, and for the last 2 years and for the last 75 plus years. It's the same thing happening over and over again. And I mean, we always have to have hope that it's going to end. We can't let that hope die, but at the same time, it's been going on for so long, and it keeps repeating. But the one thing that I really enjoyed with the way that it was portrayed in this movie, the different acts of resistance, again, they're mirroring what we're seeing today.
Yeah.
And with your character in particular, his final act of resistance. So while also working as a rebel and fighting that and being part of the community and protecting the community and having the community come back and protect him with Afra and her mother, providing food and taking care of him. But his very last form of resistance was the smile when he gets captured in the end. Can you talk about that as well, and how that was decided or the influence for that last act of resistance?
Yeah. It's a mutual decision. It's a mutual thing. Actually, it's not even a decision. It was a mutual feeling that he's smiling at the end. And this, it's a Palestinian thing.
Yes.
The smile to the occupier is a Palestinian thing. We've seen many Palestinians smiling to the occupier while being beaten and arrested. It's not a new thing. It's in reality, it happened many, many times. But when you portray that on cinema, the effect is there. Is much more. It's much more powerful because of the cinema work, the cinema, the image, the sound, the everything about art. Art is just gives the moments kind of. I don't know, kind of
Gravity?
yes. It gives the moment its place. It's its effect. It's, I don't know, gravity. Gravity is a good word. So yeah, this is and when you're right, when you have a just cause, then you'd laugh about the stupidity of the occupier, about the stupidity of power. Because and this laugh is also about hope. You're gonna lose because you already lost. Because you already lose. You already lose your humanity. And what more can a human lose than his humanity?
Yeah, I love that. Like they've already lost and they're fighting so hard to grasp onto what they have, but that shows just how fragile it is. And it can't go on forever. And that's with just any colonizing force, with any occupying force. So much money and effort and resources goes into just maintaining and continuing to occupy, and it's not sustainable. It has to end at some point. Inshallah. Inshallah.
And soon,
Yeah. Is there, while you were creating this character, was there any sort of changes that you made as, obviously this film was supposed to start, or had been, the idea of the film came together before the events of October 7th and the ongoing horrors that and attacks that have continued against the Palestinians. But when you actually went to shoot it, it was during those events. Was there anything about the character or about your work in the film that changed once that started happening, or was this story always kind of similar to the beginning of the intention for the film?
The Nakba is over.
Yeah.
And it's a continuous Nakba. Nakba is the catastrophe of the Palestinian people. And it is not only taking the land, stealing the land from the Palestinians, but it is also not allowing the Palestinians to get back to their homeland.
Yes.
So Palestine have been always under occupation. Different occupations through the history, thousands of years.
Yes.
But this occupation is a settler colonialism. And in order to keep a majority of ethnic kind of group, which is a Jewish in this case, in order to keep this majority of Jewish people in Palestine, they had to expel the Palestinians out of their homelands and not allow them back.
Yes.
Since that time, since the Nakba, this is what is called the Nakba.
Yes.
Since the Nakba, till this day, is a one continuous Nakba. And the Palestinians never stopped resisting. Never stopped resisting, fighting for their right to return to their homeland. Like, get us back to our homeland. Yeah. And we are fine living with anybody. you're there, ahlan wa sahlan, you can live. Nobody has no problem with anybody. You know, Palestine is wide, and it you know, it can, you know, it welcomes anybody. Palestine is wide. It's not small. It's big.
Yes.
It's very big, Palestine. You can, you know, you come and see. It's really big. It's really wide. There are places for everybody. Saying Palestine is small is a lie. It's big. It's wide. Mountains and fields and many places. So why the Palestinians are not back? To keep a majority of ethnic group. That's sick and racist. So we are fighting this, resisting this kind of attitudes, this kind of policies that is unfortunately supported by the Western world and the biggest powers in the world. Now it is a continuous Nakba, and it was always a continuous Nakba, and we are always fighting. It was never happy, beautiful life for us. But then the genocide came, and it became the Nakba, and it speak again. The Nakba again is happening again, but it is in its speak. It's as if it is the happening, the first happening of the Nakba in 1948. So now we can see what is there in our grandparents' eyes. We can see what is there in their silence. We can see and hear their voices differently. Their body language is differently. You know, we understand them better because we didn't see what happened in 1948. Now we see what happened in 1948. And it has a big effect on us as Palestinians. And I believe on humanity. Now, everything we have done and everything we will do, Gaza will be there, inside of us, inside of our eyes, inside of our eyes, in our beings, in our presence. It's there. It's there. You know. So, yeah, we are unfortunate. You know, I never, you know, wish for anybody to live this kind of life, you know. What can I say?
It's a very heavy weight to carry. And I hope at least as humanity we're waking up and we can't ignore what's happening in Gaza for the last few years, what it continues to happen in Gaza today. And I don't even have the words for it either. I can only imagine, like what you were just expressing right now, carrying that as the new generation, you know, what your grandparents went through and what they're carrying, you're now carrying the same weight. I don't know how to, I don't even think there are proper words to say for something at this scale, at this magnitude, and this horrific that is happening. I think that maybe the one big difference between, you know, during your grandparents' time on a global scale and today is at that time it wasn't necessarily being publicized. So maybe the world wasn't carrying that weight as much alongside the Palestinians, whereas today,
That's right.
that is
On
a
social-
blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
You know, having all of that be on social media, having that, well, now it's undeniable, right? Like all of that
Yeah.
footage, all of that is records and proof of what is happening. And in the same way that there's archival footage in the film, we have real life footage of what is happening in Gaza today. And unfortunately, even that is dwindling because of all of the journalists that have been targeted and attacked.
No, if Israel is not taking accountable for what it has done to Gaza, this world we know, you can say goodbye to.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Absolutely.
Bye bye. It's not. Then it's a different world. We're gonna live in a different world.
Yes.
We're gonna live in a world that is very scary world.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be a very, very scary to live in this world. Yeah, it's already scary. to
It
live in
is
this
already
world.
scary to see all of
Yeah.
this happening for so long
Yeah.
and to not be
Yeah.
able to put a stop to it. It is,
And it's so stupid because we are all gonna die.
yes,
So stupid.
yes. Like, the world's not worth all of this.
Yeah.
Our lifetimes are what,
Yes.
60 to 80
So
years?
stupid.
That's, I think, one of the things at the very least
Yeah.
that it has shifted, I think, like global perspective, or at least my perspective of life in this world. Like all of these, it's not worth all of the, like, life's not worth all of that. But anyways, I did just get the signal for us to wrap up for that time. Thank you so much, Saleh, for your time, for pouring your heart out, for joining me today and discussing not just the film, but just your experience
Thank
with
you,
it.
Suhaila.
Thank you.
It's my
Oh no, it is my honor and pleasure.
to meet
Trust
you.
me.
It's just great to have talk to you, and very nice to meet you. And I wish you all the success in what you're doing, and you will. But you are already a success.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much, my friend.
Thank you. Amazing.